What if I told you that you could build a business that makes you almost $300 a day and have AI do most of the heavy lifting for you? Well, we're going to break down exactly how you can pull that off.
But let's get even more ambitious. How about a business that pulls in $10,000 a month, but you only have to work on it for about 20 minutes a week? I know. Sounds too good to be true, right?
Well, the secret isn't some flashy new app or complicated crypto scheme. It's actually what a lot of people might call a boring business model, the good old online directory. But here's the twist. When you supercharge it with AI, it becomes incredibly powerful. And we've got the proof.
Okay, so before we dive into the how, let's talk about the why. Let's look at some real-world million-dollar examples that show just how insanely profitable this can be.
First up, parting.com. It's a directory for funeral homes. Yeah, a niche most of us would never even think about, right? But get this, it pulls in 61,000 organic visitors every single month.
So how are they making money? It's not just running a few ads. No, their main cash cow is a sophisticated piece of software called Parting Pro that they sell directly to the funeral homes listed on their site. It's a classic vertical SaaS play.
And if you need proof that this model works, Parting.com was so successful they raised $1.5 million in venture capital back in 2021. This isn't just a side project, folks. This is a serious, scalable business.
Now, if you thought that was impressive, brace yourself. This is a placeformom.com, a directory for senior living facilities. Just look at that traffic number, a staggering 824,000 visitors every month. And their business model? It's pure, simple, and incredibly effective lead generation. They connect people with the right senior living home, and they get a fee or even a piece of the first month's rent. How effective is that? Well, estimates put their annual revenue at around $50 million.
Yeah, $50 million. And for our last example, let's look at a site you've probably used yourself, gasbuddy.com. Their monthly traffic is just massive. Over 1.1 million people, all looking for one thing: where to find cheaper gas.
But the real genius behind GasBuddy is how they built their data moat. Way back in 2004, they turned reporting gas prices into a game with leaderboards and giveaways, and it created this insane level of user loyalty. I mean, check this out. A user named Prince33, who was already active in 2006, has not missed a single day of reporting in over 5,800 days. That is how you build a data set that no one can compete with.
Okay, so you've seen the potential. You get it. Now you're probably asking, how can I actually build one of these things? Well, we're going to walk through a case study of a luxury restroom trailer directory. Sounds weird, I know, but it was built in just 4 days for less than $250, all thanks to AI.
So let's just compare the before and after. On the left, you've got the original site. It was built on WordPress. You can literally see the lorem ipsum placeholder text on the homepage, and the listings are super thin. Now look at the right. That's the new AI-built version. It's clean, it's professional, and it is packed with useful, detailed data. The difference is just night and day.
But here's the absolutely wild part. Even that old, ugly, unfinished directory managed to land a monster lead, a $20,000 plus request from the New Mexico State Fair. This just proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the demand in these niche markets is absolutely there, even if your product is kind of terrible. So let's get into the guts of it. The core of this whole business, your secret weapon, is the data. It's your competitive advantage, your data moat, as they say. So let's break down the exact 7-step AI process to build it. Here's the game plan. You start by scraping a ton of raw data. Then, you use AI to do a first-pass cleaning. Step 3 is a deep verification using a web crawler to make sure these are real, legitimate businesses. And from there, it's all about enrichment, adding inventory, photos, amenities, service areas, all the good stuff that makes your directory incredibly valuable.
And this chart right here, it perfectly shows the power of that AI process. You start with this huge, messy pile of 71,000 potential listings. That first AI cleaning, it cuts it down to 20,000. And after the deep verification step, you're left with 725 perfect, high-quality, verified listings. You're turning a mountain of noise into pure signal.
Now you're probably thinking the AI part has to be super complicated, right? Look at this. This is the actual prompt that was used. It's just plain English, telling the AI, hey, take these files and get rid of anything that doesn't have a business name or an address. It's that simple. And that little prompt took 71,000 rows and turned them into 20,000.
All right, so for step 3, that deep verification,
This is where the magic really happens. You use this incredible 1-2 punch. First, an open-source web crawler called Crawford AI. That's your engine. It's going to go out and visit all 20,000 of those websites. But it needs a brain to tell it what to look for, and that's where Claude code comes in. You use it to tell the engine exactly how to spot the real businesses.
Okay, we've geeked out on the tech, but all the best tools in the world won't help you if your strategy is wrong. So let's talk about the most important part, how you actually win. And it all comes down to finding the right niche.
Let's be real for a second. You are not going to beat A Place for Mom by targeting a huge broad term like senior living homes. It's just not going to happen. But you can absolutely dominate a super specific niche. So instead of the broad term, you target senior living homes for people with dementia. The audience is smaller, but they have an urgent, specific need, and you can become the #1 resource for them.
Let me give you one more example, just to make sure this really sinks in. Don't go after bathroom contractor. It's too competitive. Instead, become the absolute best directory for ADA accessible bathroom contractors. You have to find those critical, deal-breaker features that people are searching for and build your entire directory around serving that one specific need.
All right, let's start to land the plane here. We've covered the model, we've seen the proof, and we've walked through the AI process. But now, it's time for a really important reality check and a few final takeaways.
So what have we learned today? First, these boring online directories are an incredibly powerful business model. Second, tools like Claude Code and Crawford AI have made it cheaper and faster to build them than ever before. Third, your real advantage, your whole business, is built on that deep, high-quality data moat. Fourth, the way you win is by niching down to serve a very specific audience with a very specific problem. And finally, you have to remember this is all about distribution first, which means success depends on SEO. And that last point about SEO brings us to our final and maybe the most crucial piece of advice. This model is powerful, but it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. SEO takes time to kick in and start working its magic. So if you're in a position where you absolutely need to make money in the next 6 months, this is probably not the business for you. But if you have the patience to build a real, valuable, long-term asset, the opportunity has never, ever been better.